Welcome to Travel Vision, and today we're exploring one of the most beautiful cities in the world. Paris, every year considered one of the most visited cities in the world with stunning cityscape and architecture, a renowned gastronomic scene, a global center for fashion travel and history. It's hard not to understand why, but with so many things to see and do, it can be hard to think about planning a visit to Paris. In this video we're going to lay out our guide to Paris and share with you what we did in our 4 days of exploring Paris. So let's go music. It's our first day in Paris and we're still a little tired from the flight and a little jet lagged, so let's start our day with caffeine and pastries. We hear good things about La Croix Patisserie, and when we arrived we saw why the cafe was cozy and inviting and the candy display looked incredible. I decided to go with the lemon tarts and the man had the pistachio tart along with our espresso and cappuccino, and now it was delicious because we were so close. Our Lady of Paris Cathedral only made sense that it should be the next stop on our trip. The Cathedral of Our Lady of Paris was originally completed back in 1260 and is a stunning example of French Gothic architecture, but unfortunately due to a fire that severely damaged the cathedral back in 2019. Notre Dame is temporarily closed until 2024, but you can still see the church from the outside, and there are several information boards where you can learn about the fire and restoration work that is being done. After a quick stop near Notre Dame, we decided to spend some free time and walk around the neighborhood on either side of the Seine and admire the beautiful cityscape of Paris. On the north side, also called the right bank, we also stopped at the magnificent Deville City Hall Hotel. Like the Hotel de Sands, which is famous for having a cannonball lodged in its exterior, we then hop across Illinois Street, Louis, and then down south to the left bank to enter the Latin Quarter. Music. The name Latin Quarter historically comes from the fact that many students lived here and spoke Latin. The Latin Port is an interesting place to explore because it retains many of the narrow streets that used to occupy Paris and hasn't been torn down in favor of the larger boulevards you'll see in the rest of the city. Now the Latin Quarter is a lively and active neighborhood with plenty of food and stores to explore. After a long walk, it was time for lunch, so we decided to grab some crepes. We ended up stopping at Le Capri. The clown and clown decor here was interesting, but when we ordered and tried the pancakes we were really excited. The man went with the egg ham and cheese filling, and I had the potato bacon and raclette cheese, sour cream and onion filling, and both were really good. After we finished lunch, our next stop is the Luxembourg Jardin, first laid out in the 1600s as a garden for the Luxembourg Palace where the French Senate now meets. The Luxembourg Garden is now a free public space that welcomes locals and visitors alike. Find some quiet time amidst the hustle and bustle of Paris. Some features include a large formal garden in the center with an octagonal pool, many types of statues scattered throughout the park, incredibly beautiful playgrounds with a Medici fountain for children, arrays of trees, and plenty of seating for just about anything. You need to sit down and stretch your legs a bit. I'm now a couple minutes away from the Luxembourg Gardens, our next stop on our itinerary. The Pantheon was originally conceived as a church and was built in 1790, just before the French Revolution. The Pantheon was quickly converted into a mausoleum to house the bodies of prominent French citizens on the outside. The inside of the Pantheon takes advantage of the fact that architecturally it draws inspiration from Greek and Roman styles, and, given its large size, it presents an interesting suggestion that its surroundings are now on the grounds inside the Pantheon is still just as stunning. But the main thing, of course, is to see the tombs of some of the most important people in French history, including scholars such as Pierre and Maria Curie, writers such as Voltaire and Victor Hugo, as well as politicians, military leaders, and other famous residents. After enjoying the history of the Pantheon, it was time for dinner, and tonight we are heading to Chi Fernon to try some traditional Parisian food. We had made reservations in advance and got a table that was right outside. We got a couple glasses of wine to drink, and for an appetizer we had snails and bone marrow with bread, and on the base of the Sacré-Cœur, and after the soccer codex is over it's time to explore the hilltop Mont Village. This area will definitely be packed with tourists, but with charming streets, buildings and squares it's easy to see why this area is so popular. Popular to visit. There are so many scenic spots where you can enjoy a stroll around the famous place to watch artists practicing their craft. After all, Mar has been a center for many artists including Monet, Picasso, Van Gogh and many others, and there are many other small churches and buildings and stores that you can also pop into here if you need to find a place away from the crowds. We loved hiding in the pristine Marcel Blanchette Square, right behind the soccer Cougang. There are many great restaurants in Marta, and we decided to book a table at Le Moulin de la Galite, located in one of the village's traditional windmills. The restaurant has an intimate atmosphere and a wonderful outdoor patio where you'll feel like you've escaped the hustle and bustle of Paris. The man ordered the mussels with fries and I ordered from the daily lunch combo menu of salad and steak pizza paired with wine. We had everything we needed for a delicious casual lunch. Music after lunch. It was finally time to spend some time with the one and only Eiffel Tower, perhaps the most iconic place that comes to mind when you think of Paris, tall as an 80-story building and constructed of 300 tons of wrought iron. You will see the Eiffel Tower from almost anywhere in Paris. If you want to go up, there can be long lines to get to the top of the tower, so we just decided to drive up close and try to get some good photos. Usually one of the best places to get an unobstructed view is on the opposite side of the river, by the Trocadero, and especially in the plaza at the top of the tower hill, but when we visited, unfortunately this spot was under renovation and a barrier had been put up that blocked the view. But that's okay because there's another spot a 5-minute walk away that we read about at the end of our rough de Camon, where the tower is beautifully framed by traditional Parisian architecture and the crowds are much smaller. After we took some pictures together, we head to the River Sun to see the Eiffel Tower from the river, and from here it's a good place to sit down and maybe have a drink and relax. And then we'll go right and see the Biricum Bridge. It's a pedestrian and cyclist-only bridge on the main level, but what makes it neat is that there's also an upper level that carries the 6th metro line, and to support the metro line there's a series of steel columns which is visually pretty cool. Wrapped up the day, we wanted to have a picnic, and I still want to visit Le Grand in Péculier de Petit, and this made a good excuse. To go I picked up a baguette, some meat, cheese and miscellaneous stuff, and a small bottle of champagne for the picnic and to complement the picnic food. Of course dessert will be needed, and in Paris you should definitely try the macarons at least once, and there are definitely a lot of great stores to choose from. But I have yet to try a macon from Pierre Hermes, so let's get some macaroons in their music, and there are definitely a lot of great picnic spots to choose from. But we went back to the Eiffel Tower along the River Sand when we first visited Paris 4 years ago. 4 years ago. We had picnic dances here a few times, and coming back here brought back that nostalgic feeling from our first trip. There were definitely more people here than 4 years ago when we almost had the place to ourselves. But when you enjoy a picnic during sunset in Paris at the Eiffel Tower, it's still stunning and the perfect way to end our day. Music. This is our 3rd day in Paris, and today it was time to enjoy her rich cultural institutions. Paris is often referred to as the museum capital of the world, with almost every museum in the world. The museum capital of the world, home to nearly 300 museums showcasing all different types of exhibitions. But if you're only going to visit one museum, it's probably going to be the Louvre, the most visited museum in the world. The Louvre was now actually a fortress and then converted into a royal residence until it was turned back into a museum after the French Revolution, and now houses some of the most valuable paintings, sculptures, and artifacts in the world, which we booked our ticket to in advance to get a seat at the time we wanted. And although the Louvre was busy at all times of the day, we were very happy with our choice to book early in the morning because at least the crowds at that time were not as intense. Music. This was our 2nd visit here, so we avoided the huge line to see the Lys up close and instead decided to spend our time looking at some paintings and sculptures that we hadn't seen last time.